people voting, and you're splitting it over 50 people, and there's, you're not going to get, it's going to be hard to get up there if everybody's getting 2 and 3 votes. It's just so diluted. So what I'm asking is that once you pass that first round, if people are getting less than 5% of the votes, can we take them off the table? Was there any discussion around that?
Yeah, there was discussion, and in fact, in the rules, it says the lowest vote getter falls off. The theory being you just chip away at it.
But if it's only 3 rounds, that just means 3 people that got 1 vote disappear, so that really doesn't solve a problem. That was my only observation.
So how many neighborhood associations are there in a district? I think. Right.
Yeah.
There's not the order like a dozen or something.
Oh, no, there's
No.
30-ish in several districts.
30.
Yeah.
35 in D3.
And a part of the problem is that the definition in here is groups.
Yeah.
Right. You have multiple delegates from each council, from each neighborhood
But
association.
they get vetted by the district staff and also the city staff. They have to register. The voting people who are going to vote at these caucuses have to register. The groups have to register. And be registered.
The associations
So
have,
you're right. Whether.
right. How many delegates per association?
3.
3? So you might get 90 people in a room, is what you were saying. So then it would take a while to narrow it down. Is that your concern?
Well, you could have 90 people voting,
Right.
and even if you had 10 candidates running in 3 rounds, you might not get that second person pretty, and so then it throws it to the council.
David?
As I recall, that for the for the caucuses that I attended, there was no definite limit of 3. It was whatever it took to kind of get through the process and bubble up to 2 or bubble up to 3 back years
That's
ago.
by me when I'm on this committee, but yeah, I don't know where that 3 came in either. I don't know how that happened.
Maybe if in the
Just
wording,
eliminate it.
3 might be like a target or an idea, but whatever it takes to do it right
Yeah.
might be the way to nuance that or reword it.
Angelina?
So just referencing the caucus procedures that are posted on the internet, on the city's website,
Right.
it just says successive rounds of balloting shall occur with the single lowest ranking candidate eliminated on each successive round until such time as 3 commissioners and 2 alternates have been elected by a majority of votes.
Exactly.
Right,
That's
that's
more
the
like
old.
it. Yeah.
The
old one,
right, that's the old one. Yeah.
So I'm saying in response to
Right.
to Joe's question.
Right,
Right.
so now we're only getting 2 and no alternates, but still the idea of unlimited rounds. So that is the hang-up. I don't,
Yeah,
and
but we
once that
can-
I attended, I only saw 1 round of voting was decided because there were 4 people voting and there were 2 candidates. They both got in. So I mean, it was very simple, the one I went to. But I observed last cycle,
Larry, there could be the opposite, whereas nobody gets majority.
Right.
So you could do the same thing where instead of eliminating people, nobody actually ever gets elected, and you could spend the rest of your life at the caucus. So there needs to be some sort of limit, or we just let it happen and make it up on the fly.
So did you say plurality? I saw the word
Yeah.
plurality
Mhm.
rather than saying majority too.
Right.
So you're saying you're worried about consistently getting a 3-way tie? Is that?
I mean, it's possible, yeah. I mean, if we're looking at all of these endpoints on the arguments, yeah. So I'd say my suggestion would be just eliminate the 3 rounds.
Okay, Nick?
I have a separate comment or question.
Do you want to finish this
I don't
round
want to kill this
first?
discussion though.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that complete?
Go ahead.
Yeah, is there been consideration given to venue or the physical location that these will be? As I have a comment around where we might want to consider, have we talked about what physical location we'll have the caucuses at?
Is the caucus location determined by the caucus organizers?
It's within the district.
It's within the district.
Right.
Is there a limit to be at a library, school, can it be at a church, does it matter? Want it to be a public place?
No, it's not
In District 1, we had meetings in church auditorium. I mean, that was because that was a venue that was available. We had them in the library. We had them in the homeowners association common area type thing. So it's whether, I think that's up, primarily up to the district, what's available in the district.
So the last time it was organized by the staff to the Neighborhoods Commission with representatives from the commissioners there to support the process. That would kind of be the way it goes, is that what goes on?
Yeah, and in the RAM, you know, this RAM, that's why I developed, this is a good responsibility assignment matrix.
Oh, okay.
It's on page, that's following it. But just this type of thing stimulates that. Who does what? Okay? Who is it? You know, we identified the elements in here, like determine caucus dates and locations. If you look at the RAM, that's the first thing on there. Who does that? What we have in there is the commission staff, council district staffs, and current commissioners. Okay?
Okay.
Working on that, okay? And then points of contact. I mean, other things I've worked on, you know, who you go to, who's the go-to person, all right? And then scheduled date here, you know, once again, you know, we populated this thing for comment here, okay? This is out here.
So here's my comment, and why I brought it up, is that last time I was on the other side of the equation where I was assisting in some of the caucuses, as I was not up for relook, as I am up for relook this time. And some of the struggle was getting a venue and getting people to that venue, because you want as big a group of folks that are representative of as many neighborhood associations as possible so that they can vote and you get the input of the community. So several of the districts have existing coalitions or neighborhood overarching groups. Ours is a District 10 coalition.
Right.
So we have represented at any one of the meetings we have every month, at least 10, and I think generally more like 15, and I think there's up to 25 neighborhood associations that are a part of that flow in and out. So I would recommend that we look at existing venues, whether it's that particular kind of group, and I think at least 4 or 5, and maybe more of the districts have a group like this that will be representative of many folks from neighborhood associations.
Sure, and District 1's like that. We
there already.
We have a place where we meet for our District 1 meetings, okay, where all the neighborhood associations come together. And I think, you know, every district has its own character.
Unfortunately, not every district has one of these, but yes.
No, but they're all, you know, they function, and so that, you know, they have to be tailored to whatever the needs of that district are.
So it sounds like there'll be somebody assigned to picking venues, location.
Right, that's what the item.
So the
Commissioners.
staff,
Council office.
the staff is the one that actually arranges the rooms, correct? Right, so you or Michelle or Ernesto, I mean, Ernest, somebody would take the lead on this.
And we would look at locations that were easily accessible by public transportation as well as locations that were free of charge and open.
And also have people there already that are the kinds of folks that would be qualified to vote as representative of neighborhood associations. That's
Right, so I think all those things are taken into consideration, but it looks like from your matrix, that would be staff working with commissioners and.
People in the
Everybody
districts
would
know what goes on in the district. I mean, you know, that's the objective. And I don't think one size doesn't fit all for every district.
sure that's
I mean, you know, it's just the way it is. It's reality.
Robert,
Yes. We had I worked with Ernest.
microphone.
You can't hear me, huh? Okay. I worked with Ernest Guzman, our caucus, and I worked with him when we went to several other districts. In ours, we had our caucus elections at Tully Road Library, and it worked very well for the other associations in our district because they were close. In other words, it facilitated the area and the parking portion of it, where they were able to get in there. So Ernest sent me to see if we could secure the library, and of course they said we could, but of course Ernest had to be the authority of it to secure. I got him the information who to talk to. So that's the way we handle ours. And like I said, when this process started, I assisted Ernest in various other areas, like in Camden, and we're in District 5 also. So
Okay.
It's really great to learn and work and assist.
Okay, so let's see, any other questions? Yes, Terry?
So, Nick, the way it's meant to happen, or the way we've set it up, is that I'm in District 9, so that Pamela and I would be working with you in your district to find out these locations, and with city staff to come to a combined area. And then we would actually be able to set that venue. So, it's not meant to be just we go off and do it. It's a combined thing.
Yeah, there's many of these venues that are already established, and meetings that are already established. And if you dovetail on that, where the bodies are already that are qualified to make the selection in the caucus process for the community, that could be a good thing. So if District
Correct.
10 has a D10 coalition, that should be under consideration for where the caucus might be held.
And it might vary from district to district. In District 6, we have a neighborhood leadership group, and they deliberately chose not to have the caucus at their meeting because they have too much stuff to work on at the meeting, so they want to have the caucus as a separate day, as a separate time. So it varies.
Correct.
Juan, and then we need to move on. So
Yeah, I had another comment, but go ahead, Juan.
Sure, I'll try to be quick. So when I look at section B, I see a reference to commission staff, and I assume that means the one staff member assigned to the neighborhoods commission. And so I see in B2 that it says commission and council district staffs will secure locations and schedule the caucus meetings. And so do you mean that our one staff person will then coordinate with council district staff to schedule these meetings?
Someone, yeah, and we got 5, and I can't speak.
Yeah, I just wondered, because I know that council members aren't supposed to get involved,
Right.
and it sounds like we're counting on their staff to help
Well,
make arrangements.
they don't
I
get
just point that
involved with
out.
endorsements, but they certainly need to
Yeah.
get involved with the aspects of this. I can't see them operating in a vacuum.
why?
I think in District 5, we've never had council staff help coordinate it,
Okay,
so this would be something new.
well,
I don't
once
know.
again, every
In
district's
District-
different.
In District 6, the council district didn't do anything there, no?
Nothing?
No.
Yeah, and I think you can't say every district will be different, because here you're spelling it out. You're saying, and council district staff. You're saying they are part of the process. And so they can't be excluded from the process if we follow these guidelines. So I just point that out.
I mean, that's fine, I mean.
I don't think you need to have council district staff to arrange to get the library and post notices, I think.
I think,
Commission staff.
you-
Larry-
for that.
Larry, I've just kind of a bit of insight of somebody who's dealt with this in my other life, is that the council staff are very much attuned, though, of what Nick's talking about, of what are the different groups that are going on out there. And if Ernest or Michelle or Angelique are an army of one. So just the realities of how to get this done is your best source of information is sitting up on the top floor, because they are connected out in there. So they're not running the process, but at least here's a list of 5 sites to go look at. That helps a lot to make this happen. So just to say, no, they can't be involved because you're
Yeah,
decided.
and which is a good point, and if you, the schedule, this is a draft prototype schedule, the dates are bogus, but, there are elements in there that you have to deal with, some of them overlap. So you've got an allocation of resources to deal with.
Sure,
So if you
you're
look at
asking
that
for
schedule,
feedback.
If you look at item, I think it's item 9, I only have 1 entry in there, we've got 5
Yeah.
caucuses that have to be supported.
I'm just trying to give you feedback. So on B2 then, having heard other comments, I think I would recommend that the and council district staffs be stricken, and that it instead be a second sentence that indicates that council district staffs could be referenced, et cetera. And just to the point about registered neighborhood groups, I think that council district staffs would rely on the same source, which is, there's a list of registered groups. I think like for CAP grants, there were under 70 groups that applied for CAP grants, and so my guess is the number of registered groups is under 100. But there's a source for that information, and so that should probably be
The
referenced.
concern we
Yeah.
had when we were going through this was primarily that someone shows up at a caucus to vote, they need to have some vetting. You need to be just, have some recognition. That's the concern.
Yeah, I think as I read it, they have to RSVP in advance. I'm gonna give just a little more feedback. If you could let me just finish the feedback, that'd be great. So then, as I looked at E, the post-caucus process, I know that at the beginning, or I think that what you said is, ideally we get to a place where we don't reinvent the wheel every time, and so I just see that E2 post-caucus meeting, there may be more than one meeting a month after each caucus to discuss the process and suggest changes to future meetings. So I just point that out. Number 3, E3, there's an after caucus review, and so I'm not sure how that's different from E2, so you might want to specify how it is.
That was the caucus assigns, where we assign commissioners, specific commissions, to see if that worked.
Right.
That
And
was
let me
kind of
see.
tailored to that.
So I would just, you may want to consider whether E2 and E3 should only occur if there's a need, right? If someone believes there is a need, as opposed to spelling out that it should happen. And E4, and again, this is just my feedback, a commissioner who's not sworn in, I'm not sure if it makes sense to provide them an orientation. They may not choose to be sworn in. Right? So I think E4, you're not a commissioner until you're sworn in, right?
But you're an elected commissioner by what we're talking about, the caucus process.
No, this is saying that an orientation will be held for the commissioners. So once the caucus process selects the people, then the people that are selected are given an orientation prior to being sworn in to sit at the table here. So, for example, the documentation that Nicole and David have been working on, saying this is how the neighborhood commission works. They're saying that after the caucus process says, okay, you and you will be the commissioners, then they get the package and say, this is what you do before you're sworn in and set the table here. I think that's why
I think Nicole said it best, it's an onboarding process.
Right.
To help short the
Get
culture.
up to speed.
I'm sorry, it's, I think my experience might have been different. I wasn't sworn in at a meeting. I was sworn in, a few weeks before
Right.
at the, forget what the city office
I
is
guess I'm
called.
just trying to say that before you sit down at the table
Yeah,
here
yeah.
to.
It'd be
get an
nice to
idea
know
about-
what's expected of you and what some of
So
you know,
before the first
you know.
council meeting?
Right.
Okay, got it.
That's all.
Before the first commission.
Commission meeting.
We're not a council.
No.
Okay, Matt.
So, on the other side of the issue, council office involvement is that, as was pointed out, they tend to have more of the lists of the active neighborhood groups,
Exactly,
which aren't
yeah.
necessarily the list that was existed under
Yeah.
the old office.
They may not be registered.
And the other factor is that they have a much wider outreach, because they have, most council offices have newsletters that are going out, and they also are the only people in the city other than the police department that have direct access into next door to reach all neighborhoods. And we as commissioners, we can talk to our neighborhood and the 10 surrounding neighborhoods as defined on next door, and say in advance, if you would like to register as a group to send delegates, but the council office can reach everybody with one message. So we can use them as a conduit to reaching them.
You want to have all of the above. You want to have the local newspapers, you want to have the next doors, you want to have the council office. You already have some lists from some years ago in the council office, city manager's office. I remember getting that for our area. And I've maintained ours, and then I've given back updates. We should all be giving input for, it should be all of the above, from the council member's office, from public outreach, community public relations, and your own feeding in. So I've just given to Michelle the database for those that I'm aware of in our area. But then, yes, talk to the council member's office and see what other ones you have. You might have different phone numbers for the chair. You call both of them and see who's the chair of the different associations.
And not all groups go for grants too.
Right, I just
So
want to make sure, so
you have
this is,
that kind of gray
United
area.
Neighborhoods also has
So-
the-
Yeah.
so is this limited to groups registered with the city? Or, because like, for example, There's 20, almost 30 neighborhoods in District 5. There's under 10 groups though, registered.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to
Well,
clear that. I think they
that's
said
one of the things
registered.
that has to be, I mean, once again, when somebody goes to a caucus.
No, I know the
eligible
answer.
to
It's,
vote at a
I'm
caucus.
hearing different.
So you don't want to
people.
just have a group of people saying, I am a neighborhood association, walk in
Right.
and cast
Right.
votes. You have to be,
You
have
could
a,
stack it.
there's a vetting process first, so that's,
A list of registered neighborhood groups.
right, David.
It's been discussed off and on and in different ways that any group of people living in some contiguous area with an interest in something about their neighborhoods, in effect, is a neighborhood organization, whether it's registered, whether the council member knows about it, whether the district leadership group knows about it, it effectively is, and it may be formed for a single issue or two. And so if they ask in advance, declare who they are and why they're, as I understand it, allowed to have delegates, or should.
Right, but then, and the concern we had was that 20 people show up at a caucus, say, who are, you know, and they're not registered, they're not known, but they want to vote. Are they disruptors? Are they valid people? What are they? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Okay, so what we needed to do today is develop this process to send it to the city council. Not to use the rules committee, or is it the city council needs to approve our process?
The city council.
So we had some comments. We'll kind of recap some of those comments. I know Juan had some. We had on the, I can't talk and write at the same time. D7, the balloting, we had some comments on that. What was the other paragraph we had comments on?
Oh, that I had? I had comments on B2,
B is in
B as in boy,
Oh,
2,
B2?
E2, E3, and, okay, that's it.
Hey, Gary, I think I can summarize this with friendly amendments,
Yes.
and call for the vote. So, under B2, go commission and/or council district staff. That allows it to be anybody.
Well, it's not either or, it's both.
Well, yeah, but if we change that to and/or, then it can go either direction.
So it's, by commission, you mean, it's not the commissioners, it's the commission staff.
Correct.
Commission staff and/or council district staff.
Right.
So can we add the extra word staff there then?
Sure. Sure.
Commission staff and/or council district staff will secure a location for caucus meetings and schedule the time.
Correct.
Okay?
Under D8, just strike the last sentence where it says up to 3 rounds of balloting are allowed. Just strike that sentence altogether.
Okay?
And then under E2 and 3, just add another part that says to be determined, because
Or as
that
needed?
as needed, because that's part of the post-caucus process, is we don't know what we don't know yet.
I like as needed.
So as needed.
That's
Oh, you want to get rid of,
Sounds like Don
Matt's
Renzo.
saying you want to get rid of
D9.
D9 then, because that says,
Yeah, D9 should go.
Correct. You can eliminate that altogether.
you'll caucus until you get, caucus until you drop.
Until you drop, yeah. Until you get the
Do it until you get a vote, do it right.
2 commissioners.
Okay, so E2 and 3 will say as needed, is that what I heard?
Yes, please.
Does that cover everything?
Well,
Next.
Just for clarification, could there be a chance for a tie then? if you were four people, just get bored out of it, just voting the same three, or same two.
And eventually, somebody will say, I want
Somebody
to
will
go
get
home.
tired.
Yeah.
Fight it amongst yourselves, and then.
I mean, really, we have the opposite problem, is lack of interest and apathy often. So,
Correct.
but there is perhaps gonna be one where somebody's hotly there's hot contention over a slot. How do you truncate that? How do you have an endpoint to that?
What
People
happened
just
to
say,
the original caucus for District 8 way back in 2007 was we had a short break, and the delegates from the neighborhood associations got together and started negotiating with one another.
that worked okay?
Yeah, it worked very well, because they said, you support this person, I'll support that person. It was
And that's
a caucus process.
Yellow memo.
You need a smart moderator who can say, let's have a break for discussion.
Sign up for pizza and continue voting.
Yeah.
I don't think we had this problem the last time, right? But I think we're trying to anticipate there might be.
It depends upon the number of candidates you get more than anything else.
So-
We good with Terry's,
So can make those friendly amendments, Gary, and then that would be able to go to her?
And so you're moving that, making a motion then?
with the, with the.
We approve this with the amendments.
With the Terry just.
that
Second.
this be,
Third.
sent to the council as our process for council consideration and approval.
Yes, please.
Let me suggest that Gary make the edits and send the Word file on to Michelle or Angelique,
Yes.
whoever.
Okay, is there a second? There's a
Couple of
second. Okay, discussion. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Abstain? You're abstaining, Kate? Oh,
No, I thought you were through.
no, okay. So we now have the process for the caucus process.
Thank you.
That's going to.
Thank you, Mary.
Larry, could I make just a couple of comments? In developing this, there are a couple holes in the system that we kind of uncovered. We pieced this together from little scraps of paper in people's files, sort of what people remembered, et cetera. We need a library. We need a document dump someplace where we can keep all this on the city's website someplace to do it. The other thing is we discovered that we need a job description. Nowhere is it written down what our job is to do this. And if we're going to be recruiting people, we really ought to tell them what they're in for and what the expectations are.
So that is.
There are some things around, yes. Nicole and David have put together one. There's some other things that we've found, but there's not really a solid job description anywhere.
Boy, I don't feel that.
But we do, yeah, but to pinpoint, we do need a place that we can go and, for documentation like that, a resource, archives, that we can,
Yes, and I believe the process is getting better, and please note that action item is to include this letter, the final version, on the website, as it'll be part of the minutes from this meeting. I guess it'll be part of the.
but it's a little bit more than minutes. I mean,
Yeah,
because you gotta kind of filter
it's a
through
it's a
that.
document.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it needs to be structured,
It needs to
so,
be its own document,
and
it'll be part of
searchable.
the output from,
Sure.
it's part of the output of our commission, is this document. And it should be stored just like.
but it's not only, there's other things that we do. Okay, like work that Nicole and David's doing, things like that. You can go up there and find those things.
Okay. Yes, so we need to get that up there. Let's see, next. Okay, so, yes, excellent. We now have a caucus process, and so, Angelique, what is the next thing then? Gary will get you an edited version with these revisions to it, and can you get it to her in the next, couple days? When does it have to go to the council? It needs to go there fairly soon, I believe.
Well, it definitely should go before the beginning of April. We can get it there sooner than
You
that.
want to walk before then, because you need to start the community outreach. I know that some neighborhood associations only meet quarterly or bi-monthly, so.
So as soon as we get the document, then we can figure out the timeframe
Give me a date.
for drafting the memo.
And you want to get the public outreach, so you want to start writing press releases for the local papers to call for candidates and explain what they're calling, what the candidates are for.
Right, we need to figure out, Ernest Guzman is actually back on a limited basis in the office, but ask him what his time frame is for getting the memo that would accompany the procedure and move forward to council. So the sooner we get it from you.
Why don't you send me an email, tell me, give me a real date. I have a day job, so I just need something I can set aside the time for it, that's all.
Well, okay,
February 1st?
Oh, yeah.
the sooner the better, I mean, if you can
Tuesday.
Well,
get,
that is, I'm gone the end of the month.
if you can get it by the end of the
Gone
week.
month, so I gotta do it,
Tomorrow.
I gotta do it next week.
Okay, since it's just,
I
what,
get to
5
it by
minutes?
no later than next week.
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so then you will send it to city council, Angelique will send it to city council for approval, and we'll get feedback if there's any concerns. And then we start the outreach. We need to get the database of neighborhood associations. You have the different sources. I've given you some from our district, but all the even-numbered districts, look at your roster of neighborhood associations and get any updates and forward any changes of any different associations that have formed, different phone numbers for the new chairs and presidents and whatever else, and just get the information to Michelle or Angelique or Ernest, the office there. The staff will collate it. Excellent. And so, let's see, I see a new person on the table here, so welcome, Mark.
Thank you. My name is Mark Espinoza. I am District 4. I live in the community of Alviso, and we've never been represented here in one of the commissions, neighborhood commissioners department, or what we have here. I'm pretty active in our community. I belong to an organization, it's called the Organization Comunidad de Alviso. It was established back in '92, and it lasted until, I think, about '97. It kind of just died away, but within the past 2 years, we founded it back together. We got the neighborhood residents back got our organization back together, and we're now pretty active. The community, Alviso community, has another neighborhood group. There's an Alviso neighborhood group, and I think there's a couple homeowners associations local nearby. Yeah, I'm pretty active, and I'm glad I was appointed, here. I'll be really excited. Every second Wednesday of the month, we have our own meeting. So I was at the meeting, and I got the email today that there's a meeting this is the first meeting here. So I was.
You did get sworn in, so.
Yes, I did. I got sworn in last, maybe 2 weeks ago. But I rushed down here, and there was a lot of traffic just going down First Street,
Yeah, you missed the introductions because we have 2 other new members also. So.
Yeah,
I was gonna save that for the end, but
sure,
anyhow,
sure.
let me continue on because we have other items on the agenda here. So next, number 4 on the agenda. We have a full agenda this time. We did a work plan back a couple months ago, and we all decided we wanted to do a lot of stuff because there's a lot of things, but that makes for full meetings, so we need to be a little efficient with the times. So